talk about immigration, they often use big words: integration, British values, multiculturalism. On paper, these sound like ideals of unity. In reality, they've often been used as tools of control. Take the idea of British values. It's sold as something every newcomer must adopt. But what does it really mean? For many communities, it feels like an invitation to belong and more like a test they're set up to fail. A way to say you are welcome, but only if you behave the way we decide is acceptable. Over the decades, governments have passed law after law, tightening borders, limiting rights, and turning immigration into a political football. Instead of celebrating diversity, policies have often been designed to keep migrants at arm's length. One of the clearest examples is the so-called hostile environment. Officially, it was meant to crack down on illegal immigration. In practice, it turned everyday life into a system of surveillance. Landlords forced to check passports. Doctors asked to act like border guards. Even children denied schooling because of their parents' paperwork. And the human cost? Families torn apart. People who've lived here for decades suddenly treated like strangers. The Windrush scandal made this betrayal crystal clear. Citizens who had come from the Caribbean to rebuild Britain after the war were suddenly told they didn't belong. People who had worked, paid taxes, and raised families here were detained, denied health care, and even deported. All because the government destroyed their paperwork and then blamed them for it. And Windrush wasn't just a one-off mistake. From housing discrimination to heavy-handed deportation flights to constant suspicion at borders, immigration communities have felt the gap between the promises of equality and the reality of exclusion. So when politicians talk about integration or multiculturalism, it's worth asking, who are these policies really serving? Are they about building a fairer, more inclusive society? Or about managing, controlling, and sometimes outright rejecting the very communities that keep this country alive? The truth is, Britain's diversity has never been the problem. The problem has always been how governments choose to handle it. If you found this episode useful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Great Talk.